I stop myself every time I start getting into like that negative inner dialogue, because it comes back. You know, if you grow up doing it for so long, it's like it's not just gonna go away.
Yeah,
You have to
that's
have
very
that
true.
self-awareness of when it starts happening, just subconsciously. And it was happening to me recently because of just challenges I just, you know, just going through. But I know that I worked on myself so long that I can catch myself at a very early stage of it and be like, all right, no, hold on, you're just, you have to understand where you are right now, and it is okay, and you know, kind of like being there for myself.
What it do, what it do. It's your boy Andre Sproul, and you are tuning in to Middle of the Fence Podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, whether you're listening, watching, or both. As I like to say, time is the most valuable thing on this earth because we can spend it, we can't make it back. So as always, thank you for your time. And we have a very special guest today. Please welcome today's guest, Flow. What's good, dog?
How's it going, brother?
All is good. How's everything with you, man?
I'm glad to catch up, man. Honestly, I'm glad to catch up. It's been a couple years that we haven't seen each other, but we've been following each other for a minute. So I was like, I see you've been doing your thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm down to support.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And right back at you. So I want to share a quick story with how we met. So, getting ready to create Middle of the Fence podcast, I found this like weekly podcast group, and I learned a lot of valuable lessons. But most of the people in that class were, older white people. Like, I'm not trying to take shots. It's just what it was.
Just an older crowd.
Yeah, just an older crowd, that you probably wouldn't see a young fly fellow like myself at. You know what I mean? But then I see Flo walk in, and I'm like, all right, we're definitely going to talk, and I'm definitely going to see, like, what's up. And then, and that was, like, 2 years ago?
Almost like 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, just keeping up, with each other and all that. And for those that don't know Flo, he's an entrepreneur and video production specialist helping business owners build their brands through storytelling and content. He was raised in Asbury Park in Neptune, New Jersey. Shout out, Jersey. Shout out. Grew up navigating the tough terrain, while early exposure to a completely different lifestyle expanded his vision of what was possible. From battling anxiety and survival mode, thinking to becoming intentional about his growth and building his own business, his story is about transformation, discipline, and becoming the man you needed growing up. How about that, bro? To set the tone.
That was very intentional.
Thank you.
I know you thought that one through.
Got you, dog.
Yeah, that was a good intro. I appreciate it, man.
Got you.
I really do. Sometimes I don't think about, my story as much because I'm so focused on like what I do on a day-to-day basis. But that was a very good intro. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. I got you. So if you're ready, man, let's delve into the story. You ready?
Let's dive into it.
All right, man. So take me back to young Flo growing up in Asbury Park, Neptune, and what did life feel like day to day in that environment?
So, growing up in Asbury, it isn't what it is today. Have you been down over there?
Yeah.
Do you go down over there to like hang out?
It's one of my favorite beach spots to go to
It's a vibe
during
now,
the summer. It is.
It's definitely a vibe now, but it wasn't always like that. It definitely wasn't always like that. Growing up around the time that I was in the area. First, I started off like in Neptune area. My house got burned down when I was like, I think I was like 11, 12. So we had no choice but to move to Asbury because that was the only option. But around that moment was a time where it was like we had to start over, and starting over with limited resources. It was very unexpected, and we was just going into, I want to say we was just going into like middle school.
And the family dynamic growing up was you, your parents. Do you have siblings as well, or was it just?
I have a sister. I have 3 half siblings, but I grew up mainly with my sister, my mother, and also my uncles were also part of living with us as well. So, growing up like that was it wasn't like a regular or a normal household because of just what they wanted to do with their life and just have
Right.
fun and how they wanted to spend their weekends. I thought it was normal. I thought it was like, part of like our culture to just party it up and every weekend and, get drunk. But it always turned into a mess. Put it like that. It always turned into a mess. So it opened my eyes later on in life to like, made me realize like, okay, what I thought everything about growing up was normal was actually not normal. And they were with us through the transition when we was living in Neptune, and then they were with us, moving over to Asbury, and then moving over to Asbury, it was still, like I said, it wasn't what it is today. So I ended up graduating early from Asbury Park High School because I was like, I'm either gonna drop out or, or I gotta get out of here because like even school wasn't something that I was trying to like be in, but I wasn't dumb. I was just like not trying to do the work. But yeah, it wasn't easy, and I did my best to stay optimistic through it all. I think that's one thing that you can't do is you'll never be able to stop somebody who is just optimistic because they'll always be
That's true.
persistent.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard this one saying from Mike Greenberg, legendary sportscaster. It costs the same to be optimistic as it does to be pessimistic. So why not be optimistic?
It takes the same amount of energy to be optimistic, and 100% agree with you, man. Because I always try to make the best out of our situation, right? And again, when somebody's just super optimistic, they're always going to be persevering. They're always going to see things from the best perspective. They're always just going to be in trying to make again the best out of it.
Absolutely.
But that was kind of like how I try to like always grow up and like, no, I can do something out of this, even though it wasn't like I didn't have too much examples, but I did stay inspired because of the internet was blowing up, social media. I was like inspired by what other people were doing around that I just grew up watching. So I was like, I think I could do that.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned that there was obviously like struggles with growing up in that environment during the childhood or like let's say teenage years portion or anything along like that age range. Would you say there's like one specific moment or one clear challenge that stands out more than the others, or is it just more so like an accumulation of all the different factors that you had to deal with at that time?
When you grow up in such an environment that things are always happening, you're seeing so much go on in a household. Things just compound over time, and as a person, you want everything to be like good. So you end up growing up in like such a survival mode as like I don't want to change anything over here because I need to make sure it's good. So we're good and we can make it past another day, a week, a month, whatever. And that made me become so like controlling. It made me become so like I need to make sure that I have full control of everything that's happening because if it's not under my control, then things can go left really quick. Cops showing up because of every time they drink, there's always a problem. Fights breaking out. When we were growing up in Neptune, we used to sleep in the living room, and there was a curtain. The living room was pretty big, but we divided it into into a bedroom, but we slept right out there. So the parties were like right in the kitchen. The chaos was like in the living room, and we're right there in the middle of everything. So it was just those scenarios that like that just compounded. Going back to your question, that just compounded into like building up anger and resentment and just like why being the man who I am now and seeing my nephew love him to death. I would never put him in any type of situations of like what my uncles and my family, and they're not bad people. Trust me, they're not bad people. They just had their own. Can we curse?
Yeah, bro.
I don't know what type of podcast this is,
bro.
They just had their own shit that they was going through, and I've learned that people have different ways of like coping with like, I mean, can you imagine like a family coming from a whole different country to like starting over from scratch and like the amount of pressure and you're just trying to like get away and just have fun. I mean, like it's not an excuse, but I've learned to put myself in their shoes and like, oh, like y'all were just scared. Y'all didn't want to hold yourself accountable. Y'all didn't. Oh, okay, I get it. But still, it's still fucked up what y'all did, and I still have that resentment sometimes.
Oh, absolutely, and it's understandable. And two things that stand out to me. One, just going back off what you said, the environment. Just when you're in that survival mode and wanting to have that control, and then as you progress in life and things actually start to get better in your life, but it's really hard to let go of that survival mindset and wanting to control everything, So, and like, I feel like not feel like, when you grow up in a tough terrain environment, it's like, that's just part of what comes with the territory. And also, too, my family was in the same boat, coming from a different country, being here for like the first time. So as a youngster, there were certain things that I will hold on to, just like you mentioned, sometimes it was anger, resentment, and all this stuff.
How old are you?
29.
Okay, you're 29.
Turning 30, yeah.
What is your first experience of life? How far back can you go back?
Turning the tables on, like,
just have a question
now. I
for
like
you.
it, yeah.
How far back can you honestly go back to, like, that first experience of
this is real life?
This is life, like, youngest age that you can go back to.
Honestly, I would go as young as like 7 or 8 years old, just because of growing up in the hood and then going to private school in Morris County, New Jersey, one of the top 10 wealthiest counties throughout the country, historically. So from that early of an age, I was able to feel and understand my family's sacrifice that they were making from a financial perspective to send me to those schools. And then at that age, I was already cognizant of like, oh, if I say things a certain way, I'm going to be judged and look differently based off of the environment that I'm in or the clothes that I'm wearing. You know what I mean? So honestly, from that early of like an age, I feel like I was able to not grasp life, but realize that, there was a lot more to it. And as I've gotten older and progressed through life, it's not like I didn't enjoy my childhood. I still had a great childhood. I still got to, enjoy it very, very much. But from that early of like an age is when I can remember like, all right, there's really shit to this thing we call life.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that is like when I sat down and like really thought about that, my experience was very dramatic. And not that I can't say too much of it, but it was just, I just remember being, I don't know what age, but it was just very, very, very young age, being scared because there was just screaming, there was a fight breaking out, like people running, and because I still remember that very vividly, I think that I held on to something for a very long time that I didn't want to face. I didn't know how to face it. I didn't know how to
even process it because all of it was happening at such a young age.
Yeah, I just didn't know. I really didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? And until later on in life, I had to like take a step back and ask myself, like, why am I this person? Why do I act like this? Why, like, you gotta, at some point in your life, you have to stop and just question, why are you the way that you are? Because you're not just like that. You're not just like that for no reason. Something that you probably went through, things that you've experienced, made you become a certain way that you think is normal, but to somebody else is like, or to just progress in life is like you have to change a different, your perspective on everything so you can get past it and not be so, back then I was just egotistic. I was, it just led me to a lot of things that even with women, just I'm gonna be a certain way with women and think that was okay.
Yeah, because that's what was shown as like being the man and things like that. And, we will get into the definition of what being a man is in this episode. So just letting you guys know that right now, And thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that insight, definitely. I wanted to touch on the anxiety portion a little bit and something that, that you've developed to help you work through it. So the anxiety that you used to have was to the point from the environment that you grew up in that you mentioned that sometimes you used to shake yourself to sleep because of the high level of anxiety, and that's real. You know what I mean? So what changed for you when you found breath work?
When I found breath work, it was what, like, kind of like the only, because I was very against like taking meds, or like I was very against even back then, like seeing like a therapist. But
Around like what age would you say like all this was starting to like develop, or like you realized that you had to or wanted to start putting action towards it, if you can remember?
Oh, if I could remember when I wanted to start putting action was like around 20, 24, 25.
Okay.
Because even teenage years, I was still going through like all that anxiety and stuff, just being always worried.
So age 24, age 20, 24, 25, not 2024, 2025, like last year.
Yeah. Age.
You want to be clear? I got you.
Yeah. It was like, I don't know if anybody knows about like your Saturn return, but when you do go through your Saturn return, it's like you kind of go through like an ego death and a very inner experience, and just a very eye-opening experience. So I was just, when you search for answers, it's like they're gonna come when you search for them, and you just have to continue to search, especially like if you really want to find out whatever it is. And for me, I used to look on YouTube a lot, even to this day, just finding motivational videos, finding what other successful people were doing, and they all talked about like the mindset, breath work, meditation, spirituality, and all these things. Journaling, exercising, right. And just finding ways to just move energy around, because energy cannot be created or destroyed. So if it's in you, it has to be moved around. And even to this day, it's like when I feel sluggish, or when I feel like too much is building up, it's like, all right, let me get a quick workout and I'm about to just release.
That's real.
I literally just the other day bought a small journal, put some thoughts on paper, because I haven't done that in a while. And the last time that I did it, a lot of shit came true. a lot.
From like a manifestation perspective.
Yeah. But just going back to like breath work, I started doing breath work around around that time, 24 to 26. I can't remember exactly, but and I realized, when you're in such a panic mode, if something was to go down right now, the heart is gonna start racing. It's gonna start, all that stuff. So when you can learn to control your breath, you'll be able to control the nervous system and honestly just calm yourself down through that breath work. So I used that method. There was another, I forgot his name, but there's different techniques of breath work. But
yeah, and that's what I was gonna ask too. Like, if there's one technique that you can share for someone that may be interested, or have been going through some of the stuff that you've delved on so far in this episode.
If you look on YouTube, man, there's a lot of different techniques, because honestly, like, even if I tell you my way, it's not the only way, but just try it, and not just try it for one or two times, but like honestly do it intentionally until you start processing and understanding how it works, because the more that you can control it, the better you can control yourself, and having that self-control is where you start progressing and getting what you want, because again, you have what it takes, you just don't know how to control it yet. Especially if you have anxiety and you have whatever, it's so much emotions, it's like, that's actually a good thing. It's actually a good thing. That means you are hyper aware of everything.
And that you actually care. Yeah. And all of that goes back to mindfulness, know? And I started incorporating that type of stuff, like breath work, journaling, meditating, I'd say around 2020. And it was actually before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic.
But yeah, before the pandemic. And because around like that time, I was still processing, my very first breakup and all this stuff, like, lessons that I try to learn from it and all that. But, all jokes aside, that experience, I'm grateful for it, because that's what led me to like really want to start to make some changes in my life. And just like you said, so like when you were talking about, seeing certain like influencers and people that you looked up to and some of the methods that they use to be to where they're at, I did the exact same thing, bro, where I was looking up to people, I was listening to interviews, and if I kept hearing the same kind of thing, I'm like, okay. Because what people, it's like, of course, everyone wants to be millionaires and financially like well off.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about generational wealth. They throw that term around, but it really comes down to your habits. And I've spoken about, I'm well documented. I mean, Marv can attest to that. I'm very well documented on habits. You know what I mean? Because, you may not. Most people are not going to be billionaires or have a net worth that's 9 figures and stuff like that. But those types of people, guess what? They're making time to do breath work. They're making time to work out. Mm-hmm. They're making time to journal. And those are things that you can do regardless of what you have going on. And when you start to incorporate those mindful practices, you start to notice that, hey, the days where I don't do that, I feel like I can't show up as the best version of myself. And, I feel like it's more difficult to navigate the days. And I'm not saying you have to have a super rigid schedule, what I mean? Like 20 minutes of like meditating and deep journaling session and all this stuff, you know what I mean? But going back to what you said, doing what works for you and setting yourself up to show up as the best version of yourself each and every day, because some days you'll be able to give 120% and rock out. Then there's going to be days, I don't feel like doing shit. But I got to push through. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it all circles back to mindset as well.
It does. I've learned from even audios that like money is just all energy. It's just all energy. It's just a transfer of energy, and it vibrates at the same frequency as self-love. So if you're able to give yourself the self-love that you're honestly looking for, that validation from other people, if you can give enough of that to yourself, and you can give it to yourself through, again, mindfulness practices and all these things, the more that you give the more that you give yourself self-love, the less validation you're going to look for other people to validate whatever it is that you really want to do, whatever it is you really think about.
100%.
And once you start operating at that high level of frequency, you start creating what it is that you really want to do. And eventually it leads to connection, it leads to people, and it leads to, at some point, you do end up in a way like monetizing whatever it is around you, because you know what you bring to other people, and you know the value that you're going to bring no matter who you come across. I don't feel bad for knowing that I'm going to put my entire intentions, 100% of good intentions, into something and say, this is what it's worth. I deserve that because of, you're not going to find nobody like me. You're not. You're just not.
Spot on.
You're just not. Period. And 2, I'm going to make sure, and I tell this to even all my clients, I say this, you're going to give up on me before I'll ever give up on you. Because I know how far I'll go for somebody if I truly believe in them, if I truly think that we can collaborate and build something great together, because that is, at the end of the day, of like what I really want to do. I just want to build something meaningful in life. The money's gonna come regardless. I know the money's gonna come regardless. And I used to think back then, like, we the language that you just grow up listening all the time. Oh, we don't have it. It's too expensive. Like, that language is programming you to just think that there's not enough of it. Bro, they're printing this shit out of like thin air.
Yeah, and it just goes back to the power of words. And through the mindfulness practices that I was talking about earlier, I was able to finally like break through from a confidence perspective. That's something that I struggled with a lot. And one thing that I realized was I was talking so negatively to to myself without realizing it, And again, the environment that you grew up in definitely plays a factor of it. But, people, I feel like, really underestimate the power of words. And you hear all those sayings of how powerful words are, but even down to like the little things that you say and think really compound and make a difference for sure.
People got to be careful with that, man.
Yeah.
People have to be careful with that because right now, man, if you say, and I as you get older, I grew up being more like just doing a lot more praying nowadays. A lot more praying, especially because a lot of things happen in my family that just gave me a whole new perspective of life. Of like, but what kind of life do you really want to live? Like, all right, yes, being a billionaire is cool, but is it? Like, is it? Does what quality do you want to live? How long do you want to wake up one day and be like, freaking like chilling, knowing that you're still good? Not have to worry about money, but which it's always gonna be. It's always gonna be something you got to work through. But I I stop myself every time I start getting into like that negative inner dialogue because it comes back. If you grow up doing it for so long, it's like it's not just gonna go away.
Yeah,
You have to have that
true.
self-awareness of when it starts happening, just subconsciously. And it was happening to me recently because of just challenges I just going through. But I know that I worked on myself so long that I can catch myself at a very early stage of it and be like, all right, no, hold on, you have to understand where you are right now, and it is okay, and kind of like being there for myself and seeing that we can get through this is just temporary, but how you speak to yourself, what you're saying to the world. Like I used to say so much like, oh, why me? Like or I can never win. Like saying these little things is like you're valuing that to be your experience, and it's because you're saying it, you're hearing it as well, and it's also bringing you down without you thinking about it. So
yep. And going back to the energy portion, because you saying those things and all that, then it gets into your nervous system and all that, and then you start to embody that. Definitely. And I want to switch gears to
Go ahead.
your business side. So you started when you picked up a camera at 17, making music videos. At what point did that shift from a skill to a real business?
It was a real business from the start because I used to do music. I was very big in the music industry. So that's why I was doing music videos.
Okay.
And I bought the camera because I'm like, okay, I need to market myself. I'm not gonna wait for anybody to help me out with this. I'm gonna just.
Were you like rapper, singer, songwriter type? What is it? You pulled the whole YouTube videos out. No, I was kidding.
Don't do all that. But it was a part of my life, and I was just using that as an outlet because I just grew up so, kind of being like very isolated from everybody, and music was my way to just tell my story, which I didn't know I wasn't talking to people about much of this, and I was very passionate about it. So I took it very serious. And I was like, let me get a camera because I saw what social media was doing, and I was like, I used to grab friends like when I would do shows and stuff like, yo, come with me, take this camera, record whatever you can, I'll figure something out. And I would use all these clips to just build that brand, to build that online presence. I started Dreamers Believe in Dreamers back in like 2015, and that was like my first brand that I was super, super passionate about. I still have it to this day. And people used to ask, like, oh, going to shows, they were like, can you shoot me some clips? Like, yeah, it's going to be $200, $300. Like, yeah, of course. And then started doing music videos, and then started realizing how, like, it wasn't sustainable because, shooting music videos in the hood ain't really the best idea. I used to think like, what am I doing here? But I was just trying to get it, man.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure something out, and it wasn't until later on where I started building businesses around in the online space. I started working with an international marketing company, and same thing, just using using the camera to be able to sell products and services through social media. I just understood how we have evolved with social media, that I was like, bro, you can sell anything. You can monetize anything. Anything that right now you can sell a course for $500. You tell people how you did this. How did you get it? People are probably wondering what exactly are you using to make this happen? And people will buy from it. So I've always created digital products. I've always been selling some type of service or anything that would just be valuable, not just also you gotta be good information,
of course.
But I would, and because I care so much, I'm like, I'm definitely not gonna be like anybody else that just tries to scam people. I definitely will give you everything, because I know if I help you win, then I win. Meaning I don't make money unless you make money. So your story has to be way much bigger than mine. And that's why I would always be there for anybody that would need help with anything that I would ever do. I'd still I'll do free webinars, I'll do free products, anything that's just of value, I'm giving it out there. And that's how I build just the brand up of what I do in the online space of you have to give value. You want to build a brand, you have to give value. That's just how it goes. And it's reciprocity. You have to give without expecting either. I would just give because right now I just shot a 4-video part course on branding and social media stuff that it's going to help you guys out. And regardless, that's just another way for me to it's like you're depositing into your social currency bank. So that's really what I went off topic a little bit, but that's
good,
what you gotta do, man. You can monetize
It's what
anything.
you do. It's what you're fucking passionate about, man.
So
it's what your business is all about.
I took the cameraman, and then I started doing it for a family business. My cousin, he had a flooring business, and I was like, let me record you real quick. Let's just throw that up on social media. We record him in the car going to projects, and I do a lot of stuff in the construction field. Started going crazy. People were like, I see you on social media. It was just blowing him up. And I used to watch a lot of vlogs. I don't know if you remember the Wiz Khalifa vlogs or
bro, absolutely,
the Back Villa vlogs and stuff,
absolutely.
the J. Cole vlogs, all them stuff. I used to be hyped off of them. And I was like, people would love to see the behind the scenes of what goes into the construction field. So I was like, nobody's doing it. And then people would ask, they would ask my cousin, who does your videos? And that's how I pretty much started taking off. Yeah, and I was like, I did it for, as a side hustle for a while, because I'm like, do people really want me to come in? And I doubted it for so long because I just didn't think that, I don't know, I guess it was fear. I was being self-conscious about it. I just didn't have everything put together. But then until because all them years that I've been putting in the work with marketing, sales, building my own digital stuff, digital products and stuff, I'm like, fuck that. I'm about to go make some money. And first week, I was just like, fuck it, we about to launch this. I remember I got a credit card approved for $9,000. It was the first time after I used to do credit repair. I cleaned my credit.
Hustler, man.
I used to clean other people's credit. And then I got a credit card, and I'm like, before I had anything, I didn't even have a camera, bro. I had my old one, but I didn't have a good one. I went to a couple businesses. I drove around. I called people. I understood it was just a numbers game. And then finally sat down with somebody, and in a week I had somebody pay me $8,000. And that was because I compounded so many skills back then that I was like, fuck it, we about to roll the dice on this.
I like that. And the word that's been coming up a lot in this episode, and it's in my heart, so I had to bring it up because I'm big on it too. Compound, right? Because people just think, compound interest. But, that's the compound aspect of life in general is something that people really take for granted. I feel like for the most part, the compound effect, that book was one of the books that changed my life because, we've spoken about the positive stuff that, for example, me with this podcast, right? The more that I am consistent and evolve and get better with it, it's going to keep compounding and lead to positive results. But compound can also take negative results as well. If you're,
And that's why you still see people doing the same thing, digging themselves in a deeper hole because they're compounding themselves the wrong way, the wrong direction. And they, it's their decision until, they want to own up to it and hold themselves accountable. But I knew that positive side is also part of it as well. So like that's why even you said you do mindfulness. You're like just listen to what everything that he just said. He does all these things. Not one thing is changing your life immediately, but a compound effect of everything stacked up. You can just imagine where you're gonna be at in the next 3 months, 6 months. And when you're in such a creation mode and doing things that you feel good about, your mind is going to always what you focus on expands. So the more inspired you are, the more you're gonna be like, oh, I got an idea for this. Oh, I got an idea for this. And you just start building on ideas and executing. And eventually it's like you're here. You're somewhere where like, oh snap, like
absolutely,
this was from a lot of good decisions I've made from first starting off with taking care of yourself. That's the same way that I just looked at it, and the same way I still look at it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this interview, like so far, is just so much gold and nuggets being dropped. Like, if you're not tuning in, then you're really missing out for real. So another aspect of the business side of things.
Yeah.
So you believe anything you're good at can become a business if you know how to market it. Why do most people never make that leap? Do you feel like?
One, they don't have the skill, but I believe if they have the passion enough to believe that it works, that it can work for them, then it can work. Because again, energy doesn't lie. If I came here genuinely believing that like, yo, look, I created something that I believe can really help you, just go help enough people first without thinking about the money. Go create those stories for somebody else, and then use that as leverage to be able to start selling and start being able to monetize. But a lot of it comes from because they honestly, you're overthinking it. You think that you have to be perfect. You think that you have to have everything in order. It's just, there's no such thing. There's never a perfect moment or a perfect time. It's like tomorrow, honestly, is never going to come. And start with what you can with what you have is like, that's all you can do. And if you're a good person, people, like, I used to think like, what if nobody wanted my services or whatever? But I'm like, okay, they pay me. What's the worst that can happen? I just give them their fucking money back.
That's the simplest way to put it.
Just refund people. Like, take your money back. I'm sorry. I thought it was going to work, but at least we tried. They don't lose and you don't lose. And you still showed yourself you still held yourself in a professional way for them to view you as like, okay, you tried it. If somebody genuinely believes in you, any business owner has been through the moments where they just wanted somebody to believe in them. So, if you find that person that's willing to, take a chance with you, then, just do what's right. Just do what's right. And I've always looked at it like that. I'm like, this is the worst case scenario. They don't like anything. I give them the money back and, all right, I gotta go work a job. Like, okay, I'm gonna figure something out in the next like week or so. But I'm not scared, man. I've been rejected so many times. I've been laughed at so many times. Even just doing music for so many years.
I'm sure of it.
That was a crazy time. But bro, I didn't give a fuck, bro. I was living in not the worst conditions, but it's like, okay, your family comes from a different country. They leave their family behind. They try to make the best out of what they can here. I was like, it's a slap in the face of thinking that I'm taking a big risk by trying something that I believe can work compared to the risk that, my mother and father took. Like,
perspective.
They took there's nothing that I can amount to that. You try going to another country the way that, most of these people do. Just try that. And then if you try making a living out of it with the conditions and the, limited resources and stuff that, bro, it was just like, for me, I didn't give a fuck because I'm like, I have to make something out of this situation because there's no way that I got the opportunity like this one. There's no way.
Just to repeat the cycles that you lived and went through.
I was like, bro, I'm like, there's no way. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what people say. I'm gonna figure some shit out because I believe that my mother, she deserves that. She deserves that. My father, and,
Yeah, and I was just gonna say too, like building that thick skin or just mindset. Part of that evolution of the growth mindset is when you reach that point of not giving a fuck. Because giving, caring about the right things is one thing, but caring too much what other people think is part of the reason that holds them back. That holds a lot of people back from doing the things that they actually want to do. It was one of the things that held me back from launching this for a while. Because that was one of the things. Ugh.
And look how it turned out.
And look how it
What episode are you on?
37 and counting at the time of recording. You know what I mean?
Congratulations,
37.
bro.
Thank
Congratulations.
Because there's like a stat out there that most podcasts don't make it past 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3, and then 90% of those don't make it past like episode 21 or something like that. So it's just that's another reminder to just where I'm at and being grateful for it.
You have to, bro. You have to have that courage at some point to say, I can do something out of this, and even if it doesn't work out and you're playing, like, it's not going to work out. It is not going to work out because you didn't want it to work out. Any business of mine that ever failed, I've had more businesses than jobs. Any of them that didn't work out is because, honestly, I stopped and I went another direction. And I believe it was God's, what he wanted me to do, because I also follow that. I follow what I believe in. And I believe that I could make a bigger impact with everything else that I was doing. But at the end of the day, I still had the courage at every point in my life to say, okay, we can do this. We definitely can do this. And business has always been one of those things that's like, bro, it's fun, man. You get to meet people. You get to connect. How we connected is
no, literally because of preparing to launch this. That's how we met. So definitely grateful for it.
Let me just add that you said preparing to launch this. That preparation stage is the part that people aren't working on right now. I've worked my entire life preparing myself for an opportunity, not knowing if the opportunity was going to come. Mm-hmm. But it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So my entire life is like I just been doing that, executing, failing, preparing for the next opportunity. And I saw that, I repeated that cycle so many times. And even till this day, it's like I'm preparing myself for the next stage of my life to wherever the universe takes me. I know that it's going to be in the right direction because of my perspective, because of being optimistic, because of just being a good person and being prepared. And people need to focus on get yourself prepared now, so when something comes, you don't look at it as like, oh, I'm not ready for that. I can't do that yet. Well, yeah, obviously, because you haven't done anything in the past to prepare for it.
Rightfully so. And so we both had experiences with our fathers that, let's say weren't the best. So I'll ask you directly, what does being a man actually mean to you today? You can go first and then I can go.
It's always going to change, so don't hold me to this. I reserve my rights. No, I'm kidding. But it's now what I see a man actually being is somebody who holds himself accountable, cares enough about who they're serving, because life can't be all about you.
No, it can't.
And when you are serving to a higher power, you're having that humility to like know that, okay, your ego is not the one that's driving everything here. And being a provider in the best way that you can be a provider for not just your loved ones, but like anybody that you come around. I think those three things matter the most when it comes to becoming a man or being a man. Could we say strong? But like, I would just stick with those for now.
I like that. I like that. I definitely would say, like, definitely that leadership aspect, you know, that you were touching on. Not only being a leader for, like, your family and your loved ones, just like how you mentioned, but being an example for others by, you know, showing up with having that positive mindset, you know, showing that what it means to be a good person, you know, and if things don't go your way, you know, because it's life, it's up and down, you know, how do you react to that, you know, because as a man, people are going to look up to you and realize everything that you do, you know, especially when you reach the point of being a father, you know what I mean, and being a pivotal role in your family, you know what I mean? So that that leadership aspect of it, definitely. I think being driven by your purpose and life mission is another thing because we really are all put here on this earth to do something to, you know, like I genuinely believe that. Like I genuinely do. And it's just a matter of finding your thing and getting better and better at it and allowing that to lead the way to impact people in a positive way. And I think the last thing that I would say is, which ties hand in hand with the accountability portion, is not being afraid to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? Because I feel like for so many years, obviously, from the previous generation of men, it's like, I'm fine, nothing's wrong with me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Mr. Tough Guy, you know? But it's like, nah, bro, like, it's
Shit's real.
It's just real, man. I mean, especially in today's day and age, like, we didn't have to get started, you know what I mean? Like, with that, but I think showing that vulnerability and not being, you know, and I'm not saying you have to, you know, express that to every single person that you come across, you know what I mean? But it's important to have at least one outlet or, you know, better yet, multiple outlets to be able to be vulnerable so you're not holding it in, you know, because I feel like that's a common theme that I still see among, you know, some of my friends and just people like in general, you know what I mean? Where it's like you hold stuff in, but it's like, yo, like, you don't have to fight this alone, man. You know, whatever it is that you're going through, like, I'm here for you, your family's here for you, you know what I mean? So like I really think that those are definitely pivotal factors.
It's hard,
well.
man. Honestly, like anybody that's telling you that it's not hard, they're lying because you know things are moving fast, things are evolving super fast, and you know as a man, you're just trying to find you're trying to find a way that can work for you, that can allow you to progress, and because of so many things out there, it's like you know you get lost in like analysis paralysis, the imposter syndrome, all these things, and eventually like you have to one make a decision. You can't be somebody that's indecisive either. Being indecisive
That's
leads
another
you.
aspect, definitely.
It leads you to staying in the same spot and living the same years 40 times. So there was something that you said I forgot, but being vulnerable and stuff. Yeah, so like growing up in the Spanish culture, you know, everybody's you know, machista and stuff. You know, you gotta have the girls around. You gotta be manly and all these things. And I used to think that shit was cool, man. I used to think like, bro, I was celibate for like, I want to say like almost a year, man. And around that time is when I had to like take a step back of like, why can't I hold a relationship? I've been in and out of relationships for so long that I used to think, okay, it's them, it's not me. Mm-hmm. Some of them was them.
it is a two-way street. You know, this is not a toxic masculinity podcast, but it is a two-way street sometimes.
But you know, I also attracted that as well because of the person that I was. I wasn't ready to step into a role that, and neither were they. Like nobody's prepared for any of that. But I just, I thought it was cool to always be out there and, messing around and always have, but even that, I was like, why am I like that? And you're just trying to to feel worthy. You're trying to find somebody else to validate your worth. And I was like, I'm not. And when I started going through like, being celibate, I was like, am I not a man because I'm not having sex? Like,
Yeah.
you start questioning it, but it's like you have to. That stuff really puts you through things of like, well, you define what the fuck that means. You define what type of man you want to become. Are you gonna let that temptation drive you into becoming something that you don't feel good about? Because it's also like that energy exchange is very.
The soul ties is soul
Like,
ties is part of it. For those that aren't familiar, look up soul ties and you'll get your answer.
and being with women that just they've been through a lot themselves, you just think like, okay, that's not what I need to become a man. Then you think of like, all right, what are other ways that we can mold into a person that, like, when you start saying no to a lot of things and creating those boundaries, you start noticing what it is what can mold you into who you want to become. And that's one thing that I had to work on. I did a lot of fasting in my life. I just finished one last month, a 7-day water fast. Those things is like, all those things is what helps me to like control my temptations, have self-control, just open my awareness to seeing things of like, do I really need that? Am I really emotional? Am I gonna let these things really control? Like, what am I giving up? What am I giving my power to that's making me feel like, like I have no control? And honestly, you have all the control in the world. You have all the control in the world. So, look, you can be vulnerable. You can cry. You can do all that stuff. Let it out. Let it out whenever you need to, however you need to. But you can't stay in that for too long either, because at the end of the day, it's like things are moving. That's just the reality of it. Things are moving.
Absolutely. And with advances in technology, things are going to be moving at an even faster pace. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're prepared and getting yourself set up, and doing everything that you need to do for yourself and in general, you'll be fine. Or if not, you'll just be playing catch up forever. And if you're playing that catch up game, it's just going to be at a much quicker pace.
Yeah, even now, like, in general, I love what I do, but I'm still so involved in the learning about all this AI stuff and figuring out what problems can I solve for businesses with, utilizing AI, and how can I just put something together that it's like, I come into your business and I save you time, save you money, bring you more business, because branding is something that everybody's going to need. Your brand is the only thing that's going to matter a couple of years from now, a couple of months from now, whatever it is. That's the only shit that's going to matter, because if you don't, even like these big corporations, they're not putting your product on a shelf because you have better ingredients. They're putting your stuff on the shelves because people can immediately come, your audience can immediately come to that store and buy it off the shelf. So like, you're having an audience at this point at this point in the time that we live in, it's going to be important, because what influence do you have? If you don't have any type of influence, then, I mean, you're going to have to collaborate with people that do. But like, this is just what the world that we're living in.
No, man. Absolutely. And, even with our conversation prior, to getting this interview set up, like, we were talking about this podcast, like, in general. And, I was like, I didn't realize that, with the times that we're in, being right now, I'm in a position to really set myself up and be ahead.
You're in the best position, bro. You're in the best position.
Like, in general. And I wasn't realizing it, but again, part of all this, like, in general, you can be in like the planning phase, you can be preparing and all this, but eventually it's to a point where you need to take action. And then when you take that action, you just figure shit out along the way. Because even if you are the most, you know, I guess best planner, if you want to give yourself that title, there's always going to be stuff that comes up and happens that you can't plan for.
Yeah, man, you're in the best position. I tell everybody, all my clients, anybody that I come across that are just doing something very unique and special, get on a podcast, create a podcast, put your face out there. And for you to be doing this, bro, like, you're in the best position right now. Whatever you're doing right now, I would just say just double your efforts. Go 2 times harder, 3 times harder, bro, because you're going to do it regardless. It's like you're good. And I used to think of, like, when I was like launching my business, I was in the beginning stage. I would always, I was like, oh, I never want to get on YouTube. Like, it's too much work. Oh, I don't want to get on TikTok. I don't want to get on these other platforms. I don't want to create content. Like, now it's like I created a system for myself where it's like now there's a infinite amount of ideas and ways that I can create that I can always stay consistent in front of an audience. But you have to find what can work for you. But I was going to put whatever, I don't know how many videos I was going to do that regardless. Are you going to do it in 3 years or are you going to do it in the next 3 months? So it's like, even if you compound that time, a lot of things can just change for you. So, I mean, that's my advice to you, man. Go harder, man. Especially because you have the courage, man. You have the platform. You have, your brand and what you believe in. And people connect with stuff like this, stories, and what you're doing to bring people story out and share it. And you never know who you're helping. But, regardless, you're helping a lot of people without you even knowing it.
Thank you, man. It means a lot. And, the storytelling aspect that's something through the dawn of time. Storytelling is the one thing that will never go away. It never will. It just never will. And so, Flo, where can people tap in with you, support your work, and follow what's next? This is your time to plug your social media or, just anything else you want to share. Spotlight's yours, my man.
No, I appreciate it for you bringing me on, man. I'm happy to be a part of this. I remember meeting you, and I'm going to go a little off topic real quick. But no, I remember meeting you, and you was telling me about, this podcast that you wanted to launch, bro. I'm happy to be a part of it. I remember when you sent me the message, I was like, hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. So congratulations on all your success. You guys can find me at Flow Menez on Instagram, TikTok. On YouTube, I'm on YouTube, it's called Top Tier Contractors. There's a lot of free value that I give on building your brand on social media, specifically for contractors, but you can always find some nuggets there of something that you can use for your business. What else? What other platform? No, those are the main platforms, but I got a lot of stuff coming out. I got a lot of new collaborations that I'm doing this year. I got a lot of good ideas that I have as well. And stay tuned. Stay tuned.
I appreciate it. Flo, thank you so much for joining us today. And this episode is yet another reminder that no matter which side of the fence you grew up on, we're all more alike than we think. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. Peace.